I'm once again doing my reading here. What I'm doing in this series is to read through the entire standard works of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. This includes the Bible, the Book of Mormon, the Doctrine and Covenants, and the Pearl of Great Price. I am reading in a chronological order of events, not according to publication, or volume. So I will be skipping around a bit as I move along. Right now, I am reading in the book of Leviticus. This is chapter 19. Israel commanded, "Be holy, live righteously, love thy neighbor, and keep the commandments." The Lord reveals and reaffirms sundry laws and commandments, enchantments, wizardry, prostitution, and all evil practices forbidden. So this is going to be a nice in-depth one. Not too long, but we'll see how we do. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto all the congregation of the children of Israel, and say unto them, Ye shall be holy, for I, the Lord your God, am holy. Ye shall fear every man his mother and his father, and keep my Sabbaths. I am the Lord your God. Turn ye not unto idols, nor make to yourselves molten gods. I am the Lord your God. And if ye offer a sacrifice of peace offerings unto the Lord, ye shall offer it at your own will. It shall be eaten the same day ye offer it, and on the morrow, it shall be eaten the same day ye offer it, and on the morrow. And if aught remain until the third day, it shall be burnt in the fire. And if it be eaten at all on the third day, it is abominable. It shall not be accepted. Therefore, every one that eateth it shall bear his iniquity, because he hath profaned the hallowed thing of the Lord, and that soul shall be cut off from among his people. And when ye reap the harvest of your land, thou shalt not wholly reap the corns of the field, neither shalt thou gather the gleanings of the harvest. And thou shalt not glean thy vineyard, neither shalt thou gather every grape of thy vineyard. Thou shalt leave them for the poor and stranger. I am the Lord your God. Now, the beginning part of this is just kind of rehashing old commandments that have already been gone over. This one, I'm not sure this is from an older chapter. I don't remember reading this, not this time through. But the idea of not gleaning, what the gleaning is after you go through and you get the harvest, there's always some left over. There's some that you don't get picked up. And the gleanings would be after the main harvest is done, you'd go back through the fields and collect up all that stuff that was left over. And he's saying, don't do that. You leave the leftovers for other people. And this law comes into play later on in the story of Ruth. And when we get there, we'll talk about it more. But this is what he said. This is how God wanted people. The two things that show we're not greedy. We're not trying to squeeze every drop out of what we have. But we're also leaving some for those who don't have or don't have enough. As long as they're willing to come and glean the fields themselves, come to get all that leftovers, then the poor and the stranger that's what they get. We're not gathering it for them. That's one thing to note. We're not gathering it for them. They have to come and get it. But it's there for them if they're willing to do the work. Anyways, verse 11. Ye shall not steal, neither deal falsely, neither lie one to another. And ye shall not swear by my name falsely, neither shalt thou profane the name of the Lord the name of thy God. I am the Lord. Thou shalt not defraud thy neighbor, neither rob him. The wages of him that is hired shall not abide with thee all night until the morning. Thou shalt not curse the deaf, nor put a stumbling block before the blind, but shalt fear thy God. I am the Lord. Ye shall do no unrighteousness in judgment. Thou shalt not respect the person of the poor, nor honor the person of the mighty, but in righteousness shalt thou judge thy neighbor. Thou shalt not go up and down as a talebearer among thine people, neither shalt thou stand against the blood of thy neighbor. I am the Lord. Thou shalt not hate thy brother in thine heart. Thou shalt in any wise rebuke thy neighbor, and not suffer sin upon him. Thou shalt not avenge nor bear any grudge against the children of thy people, But thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. I am the Lord. Ye shall keep my statutes. Thou shalt not let thy cattle gender with a diverse kind. Thou shalt not sow thy field with mingled seed, neither shall a garment mingled of linen and woolen come upon thee. So, before we continue, just a few things here. In this one, each verse is a different paragraph or a different admonition, different commandment. And we got a lot of them here. Don't steal, don't defraud, don't swear. As it, don't swear by my name falsely. And it was, don't claim my authority when you don't have it. And I do like the one, the wages of him that is hired shall not abide with thee all night until the morning. In other words, you pay a person every day. In ancient Israel, that was the law, every day. But in the modern days, like we have the contract, you get paid every week or every other week, whatever the contract says, you pay it. You pay it when you agree to pay it. And, you know, there's a lot of stuff here. I think most of it's pretty self-explanatory. A talebearer, that's somebody who is spreading gossip, spreading rumors. Don't hate your brother, but thou shalt rebuke your neighbor. So saying, don't hate your neighbor, but warn him when he is falling into sin. Warn him when he is doing things wrong. So all this stuff is, it's really just rehashing the basics of the gospel. But that last one there, no. Gender diverse kind, thou shalt not sow field with mingled seed. This is the idea. Everything is to be kept pure. Wool stays with wool, linen with linen. Wheat is grown in one place, barley is grown in another. I don't think there's any sin in growing barley and wheat in the same field. The reason for this is symbolic. We are to keep ourselves pure. Israel was to keep themselves separated from the rest of the people around them. In like manner, to kind of illustrate this principle, God is telling them, do not let your animals or your crops or even your clothes show a blending. Because we want to keep it in mind that we are to be pure. As I said in the beginning of the chapter, to be holy. And so we have this symbolism in everything that we do to show us how we are to live. Anyways, let us continue verse 20. And whosoever lieth carnally with a woman that is a bondmaid, betrothed to an husband, and not at all redeemed, nor freedom given her, she shall be scourged. They shall not be put to death, because she was not free. And he shall bring his trespass offering unto the Lord, unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, even a ram for a trespass offering. And the priest shall make an atonement for him with the ram of the trespass offering before the Lord, for his sin which he hath done. And the sin which he hath done shall be forgiven him. Now that's an interesting one. Now, first of all, that's where it says she shall be scourged. It says there shall be an investigation. That's the alternate Hebrew translation. An investigation or an inquisition. That, I'm not 100% sure exactly what that works. Bondmaid betrothed to a husband, alternate Hebrew translation is just a man, so she's betrothed. And not at all redeemed. So she's a bondmaid. From the bondmaid, that's a slave. That's what a bondmaid is. So what this is saying, from what I can tell, is that if a man has sex with a slave, because she's a slave, she doesn't bear the same penalty as a free woman would. It says they shall not be put to death. Normally, that kind of act would require the death penalty. But because she's a slave, they're saying make an investigation. But because she's a slave, she cannot be put to death because she was not free. Now that's an interesting one. I've never actually noticed that before. That's an interesting one. Verse 23. And when ye shall come into the land, and shall have planted all manner of trees for food, then ye shall count the fruit thereof as uncircumcised. 3 years shall it be as uncircumcised unto you, it shall not be eaten of. But in the 4th year all the fruit thereof shall be holy, to praise the Lord withal. And in the 5th year shall ye eat of the fruit thereof, that it may yield unto you the increase thereof. I am the Lord your God. That's another interesting one. When you go into the land of when they first went to the land of Canaan, the first 3 years you can't eat any of the fruit growing on the trees. In the 4th year, all of it is donated to the Lord. All of it is given as a kind of a tithing to God. And in the 5th year, you start eating it yourself. Now, I do know that when new trees are growing, like the first time a tree produces fruit, the fruit's not really good. And it does take a couple of years for a tree to be cultivated properly so that it is producing good fruit. And so I think this is what he's saying is when you get in there, you plant all these trees, they haven't borne fruit yet, so you wait a few years because they're uncircumcised. Anyways, verse 26. Ye shall not eat anything with the blood, neither shall ye use enchantment, nor observe times. Ye shall not round the corners of your heads, neither shalt thou mar the corners of thy beards. Ye shall not make any cuttings in your flesh for the dead, nor print any marks upon you. I am the Lord. Do not prostitute thy daughter, to cause her to be a whore, lest the land fall to whoredom, and the land become full of wickedness. Ye shall keep my Sabbaths, and reverence my sanctuary. I am the Lord. Regard not them that have familiar spirits, neither seek after wizards, to be defiled by them. I am the Lord your God. Thou shalt rise up before the hoary head, and honor the face of the old man, and fear thy God. I am the Lord. And if a stranger sojourn with thee in your land, ye shall not vex him. But the stranger that dwelleth with you shall be unto you as one born among you. And thou shalt love him as thyself. For ye were strangers in the land of Egypt. I am the Lord. Ye shall do no unrighteousness in judgment, in meat yard, in weight, or in measure. Just balances, just weights, a just ephah, and a just hin shall ye have. I am the Lord your God, which brought you out of the land of Egypt. Therefore shall ye observe all my statutes and all my judgments, and do them. I am the Lord. So, just, observers of times, those are like your fortune tellers, your people who read the stars. People who, those kind of things. Enchantments, wizards, familiar spirits. All this stuff is fairly standard stuff. I do want to go back a little bit right here. I missed one thing I was going to mention earlier. I like this here. Back in verse 15. Thou shalt not respect the person of the poor, nor honor the person of the rich. I like that because there's a lot of people, especially in the modern day, who want to take from the rich. And he's like, you don't pervert judgment. Not in favor of the rich and not in favor of the poor. Everything has to be just. You don't favor anybody. You don't say the poor, oh, well, he's poor, so we got to give him a little hand. We got to give him a little assistance. No. Favoring the poor is just as bad as favoring the rich. But we'll leave that here, and I'll see you in the next one.